So previously I had already done an overview video on the exterior of this Nissan Sentra SR trim compact sedan. So in this video I'm going to focus on what is on the inside. So again, I do have the highest level trim, the SR, so you'll see quite a few of those higher end features as I take to the front seat. So overall, the interior is mostly black and it has a couple of leather wrap or faux leather wrapping on the dash as well as the steering wheel. There's still a lot of hard plastic all around though, as this is still a relatively budget car. But you can see that the matching orange stitching carries throughout the entire interior, from the dash to the door panels to the seats. But let's first talk about the driver's seat, which is quite comfortable and it has 6-way adjustment including a height adjustable seat. I only have manual adjustments on this particular model, but you can upgrade to power adjustable seats. Stepping through to the driver's seat, you do see the Sentra emblem right here in the door jamb. And then sitting here in the driver's seat to the left, I see one of the speakers. There are a total of 6 speakers in this particular car configuration. And you can see there's actually that blind spot LED light that will come on when there is a car in your blind spot. I'll actually talk a lot more about the tech features available and also the safety features of this car in a separate video to not make this video too long. But again, focusing on the interior, we do have the familiar toggles for your turn signals as well as turning on your headlights, your high beams. The right toggle has your usual windshield wiper, and it has quite a few different incremental speeds, wiping speeds, as well as of course to apply some of the fluid. The steering wheel itself can actually also be adjustable using this lever right down here on the left. Taking a look at the steering wheel, you see it's not perfectly round. The bottom has a little bit more flat for a more sportier type steering wheel. It is faux leather wrapped, as you can see here. There are quite a number of physical tactile buttons on either side that can be used to control your media, cruise control, and other features, which I'll be going over in more detail in my tech video. But as you can see, I'm sitting here in the driver's seat and I think the visibility is really great. The dash is pretty low. It's able to fit all the things it needs right at the driver's lower eye level. I'm a fairly short person, so I do find that this height of the dash is very appropriate. And kind of looking around the cabin, I'm able to see my blind spots with a quick turn of my neck very easily. The incline of the windows and the clarity of the windows are definitely a plus. Driver's side door has the usual buttons that you can expect, including adjustments for the power mirrors as well as the power windows, window locks, and locking unlocking the car. Kind of just a direct comparison with the car I normally drive, which is the Toyota Corolla. I find that these window buttons are a little bit cheap feeling and it's hard to really fine tune the up and down, especially for the auto one for the driver's side window. A few more buttons to the left and behind of the steering wheel, which I'll go over more in detail in the tech video. But among those buttons, the trunk open button is right there, very conveniently located. And then to open up the hood would actually be this bottom latch right here. And if you see on the bottom, we actually have 3 pedals because not only do you have your gas and your brake, but also to the very left is the parking brake. And can't forget this little latch here to open up your gas tank lid. We also got visors here up at the front. Notice there's only a mirror, no lights. In the center ceiling there is the sunglasses holder as well as some dome lights for the front. You do need to remember when the lights are auto off. I sometimes forget. And again, the buttons feel just a little bit on the cheap side. I don't mind having plastic buttons, but they just don't have a great tactile feeling. I prefer depressing the light panel itself versus fumbling for the actual button for the light. But moving downwards, we have this 8-inch touchscreen console that has both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Again, I'll get more into that in my tech video, but I do appreciate that it does have physical volume and tuning knobs here on the sides. And then in front of the driver, behind the steering wheel, is the digital dash. It has manual gauges still though, which I can appreciate, and they do light up pretty visibly at night. And then here in the center area, we have the push button start right here, and of course your shifter. Something nice is that it does show which gear you're in on the dash as well. And we have 2 charging ports. One is the full USB Type A that most people are still used to, and USB Type C, the more modern technology, an aux port for audio. as well as an auxiliary power port. I do appreciate that right in front of these USB ports is a grippy area to put my phone so it won't go sliding around or become a projectile when I accelerate. And then right here are 2 cup holders for the front seaters, and there's even this small little enclave to maybe put keys. Here is the center console storage that you can also double as an armrest. It's quite deep, it's deeper than my Toyota Corolla anyways. Then here below that touchscreen console are controls for your HVAC. This one in the SR trim does come with dual climate control, so you can see that here with the 2 different knobs. And then we have pretty normal looking vents throughout the dash area. Switching over to the passenger side, we can still see that Sentra branding on the mat. And then of course, here's a look at the single glove compartment, which is a little bit on the small side, at least compared to my Toyota Corolla. And there's of course the cup holders that's found in the door jambs of the passenger side, and really the same is true for the driver's side as well. Jumping into the rear here, let's talk a little bit more about the seat material, which is basically the same front and back, but the back seats are still very comfortable as the front seats. It isn't leather, but it's of this sporty suede-like cloth material. The theme with black and orange stitching continues here in the back. And in terms of space, I think there's a lot of leg room here. I'm a very small person, so I definitely don't do it justice, but I do find that this leg space is definitely better than my Corolla, for example. And in terms of actual storage, there is a single pocket behind the passenger seat, and in the center, you can pull it down. It will reveal some cup holders. And there's actually even a USB port down here to charge somebody's device in the back anyways. And then here again are the dome lights for the rear cabin. That spacious interior continues on into the trunk. So here's a look at the trunk without anything in it. And here's a quick look at the underside, the roof part of the trunk. And just beneath the floor mats in the trunk, they do have a spare tire still, which is much appreciated, along with your jack and tools. Also coming with this car has a little cargo net. I'm not entirely sure if this is available on all Sentras, but it's nice to see it here, at least on the SR trim. So you can use this to, hold things down a little bit to the back. And then you can also, to get even more space, put down the rear seats. So it does fold down, not completely flat, but pretty flat in a 60-40 fashion. And as you can see, the release for the seats are accessible in the rear seating area, but they definitely do come down very easily. And same thing goes as putting it back up. So I can really appreciate the amount of storage in this compact sedan. It doesn't seem like too much from the exterior, but honestly sitting inside definitely feels very spacious. And that has to do with, again, the pretty low dash and then the relatively nice pockets of storage that are scattered throughout this car. Very ample, appropriate legroom in the rear seating and ample storage in the trunk as well. So overall, I think this has a pretty decent interior, still quite a bit of plastic materials, and I'm not a fan of those window buttons and the light dome buttons. But overall, I think the interior looks good and the seats are very comfortable to ride in. As alluded throughout this video, I do plan to make a separate video just dedicated to the tech and safety features available on this car, particularly the SR trim. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned for that video.